So how about this one? The word says, faith without works is dead. But then how come it also says, be still and know that I'm God? Those things don't seem like they would go together. But I think that what we would consider works is different when it has to do with faith. Like to wait on God, to be put into a position where you are waiting on God. In my personal experience, the hardest work ever. The hardest work that I could ever do. And there's no distraction when measuring how well I'm doing something, because it's not about my capability. It's not about me practicing stillness. It's not about any of that. I am shown where I'm really at with God, where I'm really at in our relationship. I'm brought into a position to be still, to know that He is God. It is a surrendering to His timeline. It's a surrendering to Him. It's what is hidden from me will be disclosed to me at the right time, and I can't get it early. I also can't get it late. So I'm not required in the way that I thought I was supposed to be required. And the way in which I thought I was supposed to be required, I'm sure there's a better way of saying that, right? The way in which I've looked to myself to be capable, that's the version of me that dies in this whole waiting on God thing. But it's like faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. It's like, yeah, try being still. The hardest work you'll ever have to do. I really believe it. It's so hard, in fact, that you can't do it on your own. You cannot do it. We get into this relationship with God, and we have a certain vantage point that we have considered normal, but it has been that of darkness. And so when you are in darkness and then you get into a relationship with one who is truth, full of light, it will be the light that exposes the darkness. And the funny thing that I'm finding is you have people in darkness speculating about themselves, but they can't see themselves correctly. And so they're incorrect in their speculations. Their speculations towards themselves and God and the world and everything is from darkness, and so it's not right. So they're like, we should be ashamed. We are sinful. We are rotten to the core. We are orphans. We need God to take us in and adopt us. Right? That's, I think, how we can logically make sense of like the crucifixion. We can logically make sense of these things and find ways in the Word to reinforce our understanding. The understanding that we have adopted in the darkness. The speculations that we've had about ourselves. Right? But God will bring you into a season of waiting on Him. And in waiting on Him, that of which has been in the dark will be revealed. That of which has been in the dark will be exposed. You will be exposed. What you believe, where you believe, will be exposed. Where you're at in your belief. Where you're at in your walk with God. And how you can't do anything, really. Focus on God, good luck. It's not about that anymore. You will find that it's not about your efforts. But when you come from a place where it's always been about your efforts, that's going to be a strange transition for you. So strange, in fact, the whole part of you that feels like you have to be capable, looks to yourself to be capable, has to die. That's going to be a very strange experience. But it will be in darkness, we have this vantage point. He is in light. The light comes in, judges where we are in the darkness. We think that we're going to be judged because the darkness has been on us for so long that we consider ourselves dark, right? Because we've been stained with the stain of shame for so long, we consider ourselves shameful. Because we've been deceived and accused in the dark for so long that we are lacking. We believe we are lacking. And that's where we are in our belief as it relates to God and righteousness and everything. We don't know of our wholeness. We don't know because it hasn't been revealed to us. We don't know until it is shown to us. But it seems to be the writing on the wall, right? It seems to be the thing that shows up. The thing that is clear as day whenever you are brought into a position to be still and wait on God. All of the restlessness that's in you, that was dormant, that seemed to have been soothed when you were out running around doing all of the things. Right? Well, faith without works is dead. So we got to keep working, got to keep working. It's like, that's not the type of work that I believe that he's talking about. Faith will be in the place that you are incapable. It will be in the place that you cannot see. It will be in the place where you cannot hold it, where you don't have the strength for it. You will be stretched. And you will find, I need grace, and now grace is empowering me to walk this thing out. You will be shown your need for grace, your need for him, and grace will empower you to walk out what you couldn't walk out on your own. He will bring you into a place of stillness. And in stillness, I believe you will grow. It's like a seed that gets planted, and the seed being this knowing, this understanding of him, right? Of the assurance of God, the assurance of your Father. Your Father has you. How well do you know this? Well, if he planted the seed, then it's going to one day become a plant, and you're going to know that you know. You're going to have this full assurance. I'm not an orphan. I'm not required the way I thought I was required before. I'm not trying to get to God. Me and God don't have this separation like I thought we did. That was me in darkness. That was my vantage point. But he has come in with the light and has judged where I'm at in the dark. Because I in darkness could not get to light. Because I didn't know where the light was. Light was at the end of the tunnel, but when you're in darkness, you can't see the end of the tunnel. You don't know where the light is. This is where we are incapable. This is where we need him. I think this is where in our hearts we cry out, Abba, Father. Right? The Holy Spirit shows us that we were adopted. Right? Not this legal adoption as if you were an orphan that's now being adopted. Right? As if you were an orphan and he says, no, now I'm going to call you my son or my daughter. It seems to be not a legal adoption. This is something that I've heard before. I was like, this makes a lot of sense. But it's actually you being brought into the knowledge that you've always been his. So you were adopted in. You were never an orphan. You were never separate from him the way that you thought you were. That's where you were deceived. You were deceived because you were in darkness. The light comes in and exposes where you've been deceived. And the light comes in with the assurance. The assurance of what? That you've been adopted, that you belong to him, that you've always belonged to him. It does not, yes, you have to, in a sense, choose that, right? Surrender to his love that says, no, you're mine. I'm not going to have this work for you. I'm not going to have this work for you. I'm not going to have this door open. I'm going to allow you to go through all of these things because I'm going to bring up that need. Your need to know a father. Your need to have that assurance, to be liberated from yourself, to be liberated from your life in this way where you have this assurance that's just like, I'm his. The whole world is saying, you got to be your own. You got to be your own. Everybody in darkness, thinking they're orphans. God's like, I know you belong to me, but you don't know you belong to me. And this is where it seems like you were lost, but you were really displaced because there was a time for you to be away from me in the sense of you don't know that you've always been with me. You've always been mine. You're now receiving being adopted into knowing that. And I think this place where he brings us into a season of stillness, you're going to come to know him, right? Be still and know that I'm God. Well, what are you going to know about him? You're going to know that he is your father. You're going to know that you belong to him, and you're going to receive the assurance of that. In this place where you feel like you're supposed to show up for yourself, he will have you not be able to show up for yourself. That's then going to bring up this desperation and this need to know a father. Who is my father? Right? We cry out, Abba, Father. You got to know you have a father. You got to know of your need for him. Right? And in this place, I believe he will hear you and then he will come for you. He will come, stoop down into the delusion that you were in and speak tenderly to you there where you feel ashamed and where you feel lacking and where you are in your belief.